I appreciate that. And I hope that I'm able to bring you guys a little bit of value this evening. If nothing else, maybe you can relate, right, along the journey. But yeah, I spent 20 years in corporate America. So it was towards the end of my career that, and again, maybe some of you guys can relate to this, but I was a workaholic. My mom never expected me to have children. I was not that person. She was not looking to me for grandkids. Let's put it that way. I was always aspiring for that corporate office. Like I wanted the title. I was very competitive. I went after the incentives like that. This is what I did in my corporate job. But for whatever reason, as I started to get older, and towards the end of my career, I was getting to a point where I was just feeling like something was missing. I honestly, and I'm not saying that to be all like weird or whatever, but I just, something was missing. There was a part of me, I was losing my passion and motivation for doing what I was doing. I was starting to feel overworked. I mean, there was no such thing as a 40-hour work week. I was overworked. I was traveling. I was starting to feel underappreciated. I was starting to feel like my best wasn't good enough. And it got to a point where I was allowing my health to be put on the sidelines. And so the stress of my job was overtaking not just my health, unfortunately, but it was also starting to impact my relationships. I was starting to feel more withdrawn. I wasn't sleeping great. I didn't have a lot of energy. And I'm a pretty social person. I like to be around people and take in their energy. And it was affecting my mood. I didn't feel like I wanted to go out. I didn't want to be around my friends. Even some of my closest friends had no idea what was going on internally. And it just so happened that a coach in our volleyball club. So when I met my husband, he owns a volleyball club. And one of the coaches in his volleyball club actually shared with us the ABC primetime video. This was 8.5 years ago. We had one product, Protandim NRF2. We had like maybe 6 studies. We had no videos. Our website stunk. Okay. It was a mess. But he shared this video with us. I said I wanted to get on the product right away. I'd always had an interest in health and wellness myself personally. I have a family that's never been good with making health choices. And so I see them suffer. And so I didn't want that to happen, at least for me. So long story short, I was like, I want the product. I don't want to have anything to do with the business. I was that person. All right. I was skeptical. I didn't know anybody who'd been successful in this industry. I honestly didn't believe, the only person that I knew that did network marketing, who was a family member, by the way, did it all the wrong ways. And it turned me off. It turned me off. I did not want to badger my friends, the people that I cared about, to try to get them to buy stuff from me, because I didn't have a lot of respect, let's put it that way, for the profession. But the product I was all about. So the good news was, over the course of about 6 months taking this product, I noticed differences. Actually, I had a friend bring out some noticeable changes for me from a health perspective. I was sleeping better. I had more energy. I was feeling more like myself again. There were some things that I used to take that I wasn't having to take anymore. And so things were turning around and I was feeling great, but my job still sucked. Okay. I was still stressed to the max. And I wasn't happy, but I didn't know any other way. I didn't know anything different. But my husband wanted to be a part of the business. He went to an event. Speaking of events, with Global coming up, my husband went to an event because he's like, I'm going to look into this. So he went to his first event by himself because I was not going. Why? Because I was already too busy. I didn't have time for another project. We were both working full-time jobs. He's also a computer engineer, and we had the volleyball club, and he was coaching 3 nights a week, and we were traveling on the nights and weekends for tournaments. Then you factor in friends and family. We're all busy. We all have the same amount of hours in the day, but I didn't want another project. I'm like, I don't need this. I have another job that I'm trying to anyway. He went to that event and he came back completely lit up, super pumped, so excited. When he got his Pro One pin, he was prancing around the house. So I'm like, what are you doing? So I agreed to go to the next event. Now, mind you, he had already signed up to be a distributor. And technically I was in as a distributor too, but I was just taking the product. All right. I think it was like maybe his second sign up or something like that. I don't know. We weren't married at the time yet. But anyway, I went to the next event with him, and because he's like, this could get you out of your job. And I was like, what? So again, right, tip number one, it's not about you, right? If you make it about them and what's going on in their life and what they could get out of it, I guarantee they're going to be more inclined to listen to what you have to say. So as soon as he told me this could get you out of your job, I was like, okay, we'll see. We'll see. So I went to the next event and I was blown away. I truly was blown away. And this isn't me trying to sell you on going to an event. It was being around other individuals that I could relate to. I was able to talk to other people who were still working full-time jobs, who had families, single parents, people dealing with way more than what I was dealing with. But they were finding a way to have hope. They were finding a way to relive their dreams and actually start working to put their dreams into reality. And they had these visions, and there was something inside of me that got me excited about it. And I was like, let's do this. So we locked arms and we made a decision that we were going to give this 3 to 5 years, good or bad. You can take that for what it's worth. But we said we're going to commit to this for 3 or 5 years. That means that the events went on our calendar first, before our family events, before, having dinner with friends, whatever it was. We made life management a priority. We said we were going to do the things that we needed to do. We were going to be coachable. We were going to attend all the events. And that's what we did. And it was when we made that decision, and we got started, and we just kept talking. We just kept talking to people with the little bit of time that we had between our jobs, and through conversations, we would end our job, hop in the car, go pick up 5 people, go to a meeting, drop them all off, and then come back home, be in bed by like 1 o'clock, and then get back up into our 9 to 5 jobs and do it all over again. And we did that for several years. But I'm so glad we did. Because and here we are, right? I mean, that wasn't really a Cliff Note version of our story, but I'm hoping that some of you guys can relate to that, because I wasn't excited about this business. I really wasn't. And even though the product was starting to help me feel a little bit better, I still had a lot to get over. Like, my mindset when it came to this industry and how to approach the business and being coachable and relating to people, I had a lot to learn.
There are a lot of heads nodding when you talked about like how your job was just kind of sucking the life out of you and everything that goes with that. I know a lot of people can relate to that. What was the biggest shift for you? Like, what helped change your mindset? Like, what did you do consistently that helped change that for you and build your belief? Because did you ever feel like you wanted to stop? Did you ever feel like it was just too much?
All the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could sit here and tell you, oh no, I knew the whole time that this was going to be amazing. No, it was tough. It honestly was really tough. And for me, the toughest part was really around mindset. There's so many there's so many amazing mentors out there. Eric Worries. There's just these people out there that are teaching us all the skills. You're sitting and you're watching the videos and you're reading the books and you're honing in on all these skills, but you're not necessarily taking action. And 9 times out of 10, the reason you're not taking action is because there's something's going on in your brain that's prohibiting you from doing that. And so for me, there were multiple times that I wanted to quit this business because I'm still a recovering people pleaser. And so for me to approach people about something that I knew nothing about, when I was used to being a subject matter in my field, I was a subject matter expert in my field. Again, most of us, and maybe you can relate, when you're in a job, your job is to know your job. And for me, my job was to manage and to teach and to train other people. And they looked to me as that subject matter expert. When I moved over into network marketing, I didn't have a clue. So I was extremely worried what people were going to judge me and how they were going to think and who is she, and she doesn't know what she's talking about and why would I be with her? And I honestly didn't feel, one, that I was worthy for them to be a part of my team. And 2, I was worried about them judging the fact that I was doing network marketing after what they thought I already had was a successful career. And so there was a lot I had to do for my mindset, and I still have tough days. And there were days where people would respond in such a way that I wouldn't reach out to anybody for a couple days, even a week. I mean, shame on me now, right? But at that time, I wasn't very good at managing my expectations. That's another one. So when you're going to meet with people and you're having conversations, it's extremely important to detach yourself. And I know it's easier said than done, but it's so important to detach yourself from the outcome. You can't go into a conversation expecting a certain response, or for them to say yes, or hope that they're going to, it's like, oh, they're come in and then, they're this, you can't. You've got to manage your expectations. Otherwise, you're going to be on an emotional roller coaster. And for some of us, if that roller coaster has more downs than up, then you're going to find it extremely difficult. And you might throw in the towel before it's too soon. You might throw in the towel right before you're ready to hit that next wave. You just don't know. You just don't
Holly,
know.
what helped you not throw in the towel before it was too soon?
And that's a great question. And I'm going to say this, and hopefully and I don't say this to be corny. Being a people pleaser and genuinely caring about other people, it was people sharing their stories with me as to what the products were doing for their life and how it was positively impacting them. There were stories of people telling me how the extra money that they had made allowed them to get out of debt, or it allowed them to quit their their extra job, or they didn't have to work overtime anymore, so they were actually able to like tuck their kids into bed at night. So for me, it was about holding on. I was stealing other people's belief and other people's stories until could believe it in myself that I was capable of accomplishing all these things that they were accomplishing. And that's what did it for me. Going to the events was like an injection in my arm of just complete fuel. It energized me. It got me reinvigorated. I learned new things. I felt like I was always able to build on the layers so that I could feel more confident and have more posture as I was learning on how to do this business. But it was the stories, honestly. It was the stories that were keeping me going. It was the thank you notes and text messages and people reaching out for little things that I didn't think was anything. I just did it to do it. And then they were like, oh my gosh, well, thank you for this and thank you for that. And there's something about that. It's, people say that they like to volunteer and give back to their community, and it's not about the money and all that kind of stuff. But look, it's selfishly, you do those things because you still feel good. You do those things and volunteer because you see the impact that you're having and people thank you for that. And you're like, oh, thanks. Yeah. You feel good. Right.
I
So
love that.
that's what kept me going, honestly.
Love it. I hope you guys hear that. I know I'm so glad that you shared that, because that I know is going to bless so many people on the Zoom right now. I'm so grateful you said that. And now you guys, because of that, because she borrowed that belief and she didn't throw in the towel, they're living that Pro 8 today. Like, and are you both doing this full time now today? LifeVantage full time?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So good. How are
Yeah.
you managing? Well, no, first I want to ask, what is, because I see you like everywhere, I feel like investing in yourself. Like that's the thing that I want everybody to realize too. And I'm just getting, Holly, as like just keep being that Balance Pro 7. The biggest investments in my personal growth are the scariest, but they've returned the biggest reward. And I know you can speak so highly to that. I would love for you to speak to the investment that you and Brian are making in yourself to continue to grow.
Yeah. It's, when they say it's an investment in yourself, it truly is an investment. And I have to also preface that when you're going to choose to make an investment in yourself for your business, you have to decide if you're going to be intentional with that investment. Meaning, Brian and I started going to the Eric Worre GoPro events years ago. And we agreed that we weren't ever going to miss one. Why? Because it was an opportunity. It was not cheap. It was not cheap. And this was before, we were quote Pro 8s or whatever, but we said, here's an opportunity for us to learn from other individuals who have what we want within the industry as a whole, to be able to see what other people outside of LifeVantage, which is not a bad thing, to see what other people are doing in their businesses, the different strategies and the ways that they're approaching customer retention and how are they building their teams and creating the culture that they want. All these things, the little details, which I thrive on details. I I was like, we got to learn this. And so we sprung for the VIP tickets. We sprung to sit at the tables, and people were like, how much did you pay for that? I'm like, but we went with intention. We went with intention to say, I'm going to meet so many people. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to listen. Um, I'm going to take notes, and I'm going to apply at least one or two things into our business each time that we went. So yeah, the Ray Higdon groups, I've been in with Ray Higdon's group, I think for at least 3 years or so. I think his thing. I've recently been involved with Rob Speary. He's a great guy as well. Actually, he's been personally coaching me now. I just signed up for another 6 months of personal coaching with Rob. Just an amazing guy. So again, in the beginning, my personal development was videos and books. Videos and books. So you can invest in yourself, whatever works best for you, whether it's audio, podcasts, TED Talks. Oh my gosh, there's so many amazing things out there that cost you nothing to simply listen and tap into while you're in your car on your way to or from work, or when you're taking that 15-minute walk break or whatever you need to do. But I was constantly feeding my brain. And it wasn't just about LifeVantage products. It was about how to feed my brain in a way to where I was open, and so that things could come my way. Right. I grew up with a mom with like money mindset. Hello. Like, why would you spend that kind of money? Like, there was always this, I got to keep it. I got to keep it. Well, when you keep that money tight in your jar, you're not allowing any room for any money to even come in. So at a certain point, you have to decide, like, what's my money mindset going to be? Yes, things may be tight. I'm not saying you got to choose your food over, a book. I would never ask you to do that. But I'm just saying, when you're making certain choices, if your only hesitation is, oh, I don't think I want to spend the money. Well, why is that? What are you afraid of? You've got to, there's an abundance type mindset out there as well that I had to really work on, and I'm still working on it. I've recently made some purchases and spent a little bit more money than I typically would have, because even if you're making more, it doesn't necessarily mean that you like spending more. Okay. There's still a mindset piece to that. So I would say, just be willing to invest in yourself, be willing to get uncomfortable. I've jumped into challenges. I've done Facebook lives and things. And I mean, just because you might see me on a Facebook live, or you might have seen me on stage, doesn't mean that I still don't have self-doubt. It doesn't mean that I still don't have fear or anxiety. Am I going to bring value? Am I worthy? Do I even know enough? Should I even be on this stage right now? I mean, believe it or not, so you just don't know. You might think that someone's got it all. Oh, they're worked out. They're like, no, there's constantly stuff going on internally and in the brain, but you just have to be willing. I'm not saying you have to no longer feel the fear, but you've heard the saying, you got to do it anyway. You got to be willing to start pushing. When you start pushing yourself and something starts to feel uncomfortable, and then you're starting wanting to retract, that's when you just got to jump. That's when you have to jump.
Gave me goosebumps. Amen.
Oh.
Amen. Can I get an amen? So good.
Amen.
Okay. One more question, and then we'll let you go, because I know it's so late. But when we talk about balance, like you being a mom now of a toddler, I know, right? And I'm thinking ahead to this Eric Worre challenge that's coming up in the middle of November.
Recruiting.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Yeah, I signed
right?
up for that too. I don't know why. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, it will be 90 minutes a day that he's going to give us a full immersion to. His goal is for people to have an average of 5 enrollments in that week, but he would love for everybody to get at least one. But when we think of things like that, challenges, or just growing your business to that next level, how are you making it work day to day to feel like your husband's getting his attention, your toddler's getting the attention, the business is getting the attention, you're eating? What do you do to make sure that's in flow?
So look, I'm all about balance, but the reality is that you can have balance, but that doesn't mean that every day has to be perfect. I want a couple of the things that I do first and foremost. So I should have brought it over. This is an exercise Rob had me do. So I actually spelled out every hour of my schedule for the entire week to really understand, where am I spending time? so that I could figure out where are my windows of opportunity. When is it that I find myself trying to figure out, well, what should I do? I got 15 minutes now to myself. What do I do? So planning out my week, because again, most of us, and again, when we got started, the first thing we did, we had to put in our job. The first thing we had to do, we had to fill up our jobs. For some of you, it's filling up the job hours, and it's filling up the kids' school schedules and whatever else you have going on. And then it's like, okay, where do I fit in my business? I block out time. All right. I block out time. It's called time blocking. You can Google it. There's so many different ways around it, but it's called time blocking, because sometimes you can be more productive when you only have a 15-minute window than if you tell yourself, oh, I have all day. Because if you think you can build this business when you have more time, if you can't figure out how to do it when you are still working full time, I'm telling you, you're going to struggle when you're doing it full time. So once you figured out the times you are committed to working your business, I have a DMO. I have specific money making activity items that I am committed to doing every time I have that block of time that I do. So for me, it's doing new reach outs. And by new reach outs, I mean, if you're on social media, anytime someone has a birthday or an anniversary, I'm reaching out to them. I'm reaching out to them, not just on their page and saying happy birthday. I'm private messaging them. I'm sending them a gift or whatever, an emoji, whatever. So I'm doing reach outs, and I'm reaching out to those individuals, because once I make a connection, even if I haven't talked to them in like forever, people love it when you say happy birthday. Most of the time they'll respond to you. They'll say thank you. Even if I don't even remember how I got connected with this person on Facebook, I will send them a happy birthday message. They will say thank you. And then the next day I'll be like, or the next day or two later, I'll say, hey, how was your birthday? What fun things did you do? I get the conversation started. And then I say, hey, you may not know what it is that I do or much about me, but would you be open to taking a look at what I do as a way to make some extra money from home? So I always do reach outs. Hopefully, if your funnel is full and you've got no less than 10 people in your funnel at a time, then you're doing some sort of follow up. There's hopefully at least one person that you're following up with every single day, either to send them new information, to see if they actually watched what you sent them. Even if it's a customer, if you have someone that did enroll, add them to your follow up list to make sure, hey, did you get those products? How amazing is your experience going? What can I do for you? Those types of I have to have follow-ups in there, right? And then I always challenge myself to ask at least 3 people a day if they're open. Now, again, I probably have a little more time on some days. When my son's in school 3 days a week now in daycare, I have bigger blocks of time, so I'm committed to that. The balance thing, honestly, we have a schedule. I know it sounds really like we literally have a schedule. I blocked out. So when Austin's home during the day, it's Brian will watch him for 3 hours and I watch him for 3 hours, and we tag team. And I know you may not be lucky enough to be able to tag team. And so God love you. Oh my gosh. So much respect for those of you that are doing this on your own. But we try to tag team, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to take care of the meals this week. Or to your point, it's communication. You have to be intentional and you got to plan it out. And sometimes taking the time to plan it out is just like, oh, it's one more thing I got to do. But I promise you, if you wake up in the morning and you don't have to think about what you need to try to do that day, it's so much easier. You're like, oh, this is what I got to do. Oh, this is what I got to do. Oh, it's so much easier. You take a few extra minutes to plan, and I promise you it'll make it a lot easier. So I can't say that there's a magic to having balance. Honestly, I think everybody's life is different. Sometimes we have days where all we are on calls all day and we barely say 2 words to one another. And don't get to spend, and then I have the mom guilt, or I don't get to spend the time that I want with my son. And then there are those days where I'm just like, oh my gosh, can I just get 10 minutes to myself? So I think everybody's different. You just have to figure out what works best for you, but you got to keep the lines of communication open. You got to be intentional with your time.
So good. I love it. Thank you so much. You guys, before we let Holly go, does anybody have a question that they're just burning to ask? If you are, I want you to unmute yourself and ask before we let her go. Are we sure? Come on, somebody.
No question.
Vicky?
Well, no, because
I
then she'll
got,
talk for another 20.
I'm going to ask,
Okay.
and I'm going to give a shameless plug to your husband.
Oh,
His book,
yeah.
Bazooka, he is also now a author, and it's been
Yep.
amazing. So take a few minutes, and I know we all continue to grow and are looking for other avenues. So just share a little bit with our group what Brian has ventured into and a little bit about his book.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I appreciate that. So yeah, Brian is at there. Oh, someone's holding it up. They got bazooka proof. They got, that's awesome.
It's Mike.
Babe,
Dr. Powell.
Babe, you'd be so proud. You got someone holding up your book on the Zoom. Now he's going to want to take a picture of this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so no, that's awesome. I don't know who it was that was showing the book, but he put it down, I think. But
Well, thank you.
yeah, Brian says thank you. So yeah, so Brian is now a published author.
There it is.
Yep, there it is, Bazooka Proof. He wrote a I don't know. Do you want to go ahead and give your
Oh, but
Yeah.
give my shameless plug.
yeah, give
for
your shameless
Bazooka
plug.
Proof.
Yeah, give your shameless plug.
Yeah, so quick, Bazooka Proof is the title because that's how I want you to feel after reading it. So it's not a network marketing book; it's more of a mindset book. Life throws so much out of us at us, so wouldn't it be nice if it just bounced off of us and we can get on with our lives? So there's a lot of tips and hacks and stories
Yep.
in the book that'll help you do just that.
Yeah. It's about different ways of fulfillment and happiness and how you can actually achieve that in your own life. And it doesn't mean that you have to have more money to do it. So it's very much a mindset book, which is really cool. Already has the second book written. It's like 12 other exercises that ponies up. He's already got that available, working on a third book, which is awesome. He's got a podcast and some blog articles that have been being published. And was it Jenny McCarthy just picked him up. He's going to be a secret guest on Jenny McCarthy's show, which is really cool from one of the
That is amazing.
Yeah. So
Exciting times.
I know. So he's got a few things going on.
Couple.
So I don't know.
Brian, before you go, you know what, Brian, before you go, thank you. I have done so much reading over the years and tried to disseminate some of this wisdom to my children and my patients. And this book takes it and it consolidates it in a simple, easy to read way. I tell patients, look, this is going to take you literally an evening to read, and it will do more for you in an evening that I can do for you in a month or a year. So thank you.
Awesome
Awesome job.
I know.
I could use that for a commercial, so thank you.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
I don't
and
want to
by the
put you
way,
under the
the
bus,
videos-
Brian.
Yeah.
The videos, we use the videos a lot too. The videos that you've produced are absolutely remarkable too. I mean, every time I look at a new one, I'm like, dude, this guy's got skills, so many skills. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely.
That's awesome. Well,
Oh,
good. I'm glad you
yay.
guys are finding value in the tools and stuff that he's putting out. And I guess shamelessly, I've got a book that's coming out soon before the year is out as well.
Yeah.
So
Holly's been working with Rob
right.
Spirit.
yeah, so mine is not a sole. I'm not a sole author. I am co-authoring this book. This is actually a book focused specifically for network marketing, actually. So it's all about the secrets and the blueprint that you might need if you're looking to aspire to be a six-figure earner within the industry. So we've got that going on. And then I have a website that I'm looking to launch at the beginning of the year as well. So again, you just look, we're all busy. You just got to figure it out. It's about being as efficient and effective with your time as you possibly can. But I truly believe that, I mean, we're all good people. I mean, you guys are on this call for a reason. You're with an amazing group of folks. I mean, Tawny's just, I just love you guys. Just have a heart of gold. I'll tell you what, but, I don't know. Again, you're in the right place at the right time. And even if your business isn't where it is that you want it to be, I'm telling you, it's not always going to be where you want it to be. Ours is not where it is that we want it to be. It's going to have its ups and downs. You're going to have those moments of doubt, and that's okay. You're allowed to have those, but just understand that what you are sitting on is a multi-million-dollar business that is going to impact lives for generations to come. And so you can't afford to not share it. You can't afford to just sit there and not do something with it. I mean, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents, but yeah.
I love it.
So good.
Vicky, ask your question, sweetie.
Okay, so you talked about you read books, you listen to podcasts, do different trainings with different people. You take a piece from this person and a piece from that person. It's really easy when you're just learning from one person, Eric Roy or something, and he says, do these 5 things every day. Like, how do you take what you've learned from all these different, the podcast, the book, do this? How do you take what you've learned from all these different sources and use it every day? Like, I've learned so many good things. I've read so many good things. And then it's like, I feel like I can only do so many of them in a day.
Yeah.
But yet they're all good. Like, how do you manage that?
Honestly, you pick and choose. I mean, again, we've been doing this now. We've been with LifeVantage for 8.5 years, almost 9 years. I can't believe it. So to your point, like at a certain point, I had to stop because like Tanya said, I was in all these groups, and at a certain point you have to narrow down your vision a little bit because you want to learn from everybody. And then sometimes that overwhelmingness, you have all this information coming at you and it kind of paralyzes you and you're not really sure what to do with it. And then you find yourself doing nothing and a month goes by and you're like, crap. So honestly, you just pick and choose. Don't feel like if you're writing down a list of all these like great ideas that you have of things that you want to implement, don't put pressure on yourself to implement them all at once or within the next month or even within the next 6 months. I'm still working on a book that I pulled a strategy out of that I haven't finished that book. Brian makes fun of me. I start all these books and there's a lot I don't actually finish because I get all these great ideas and I stop the book where I'm at. I get a great idea. I looked at, see, I'm not alone, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? And so I have to go back and pick these books up once. So for example, one of the books had this amazing strategy on blitzes within our team. So I started a blitz strategy a few months ago. Somebody talked about, doing something with your team. So we started doing like bingo nights once a quarter via Zoom. We were doing bingo parties with our team, like trying to create this culture within our organization. So you can take little things and implement them and just understand that anything that you implement for the first time is going to take time for you to maybe get the results or to see the traction that you want it to have. And it's new. It's going to take time. But then once you do, you can keep building on those layers, but you don't have to do everything. There's a lot that I still haven't implemented and things that I want to do. I have all these ideas, but I know that if I put too much out there, it's going to be confusing and overwhelming. And I don't want to create noise that's going to prevent people from doing the one thing that they need to do. And that's just seeing if people are open. So I don't know if that helps or answers your question.
Yeah, something I read recently is you want to master a strategy, rather than trying to do everything and dabble and put your hands in a whole bunch of different things. Just master one thing, become good at one strategy rather than trying to do 10 or 20 different ones.
Exactly. You don't have to be an expert at every single skill there is to have in network marketing. People seem to think that they have to be an expert in every single area. Like for some people, they're great at inviting, but they stink at following up. That is okay. But as long as you understand that that's where you're, where it is that you're maybe not your strong suit, you can try to work on that, or you can create strategies to improve that. But you don't have to be great at everything. You just don't. When it comes to the skills, I still don't like asking people. I've been in this business almost 8-9 years. I still do not like recruiting. It is my least favorite thing, which is why it's the first thing that I put on my DMO so that I can get it out of the way. And then I can go on and do all the other stuff that I like to do. So it's just strategies. You don't have to like everything about it. You don't have to be an expert at everything. Eat the frog. Yep. Eat the frog. It's so true.
Yep,
it's so true. Eat the frog. Yep.
Wow. Keep us updated on all your books, you guys. Brian, we should have had, I feel like we could talk for like another hour with you guys because it's just you're so real. And I know everybody appreciates that. And I'm just so grateful for you guys. And thank you, Brian. Those videos, like, again, we love them. Like they're so flipping good. I don't know what the company's problem is. I mean, why wouldn't they adopt them? They're so good. So keep us updated on these books too. I didn't know about that book and I can't wait to get it. We just really appreciate you guys and all the value that you brought tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time.
We love you guys.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Great.
Sheldon.
Thank you.
Have
so
a good
much, you
night, guys.
All right.
Don't leave, guys, okay?
All right.
Bye,
Yeah.
Holly. Thanks.
Stick
Bye,
around.
Brian.
Good night.
Oh, so good. Oh my gosh, you guys, what so much value. Okay, we've gone late, so I just want to make sure that everybody knows in the announcements on Team Act, there's a lot of them up there right now, but there is one on convention, and it is so important that you have not only registered in the back office, but when you go to the back office, the steps are right there. You have 2 spots for your guests, and we want no ticket left behind. So if you, and once you registered your guest with your ticket, then you have to go to a different link, which is also in the same email. It's lifevantage.brander.live, I believe, and you have to register them there as well. I want you to do this for your guests if possible, because I did it for my 2 guests, and when I did it, it showed that the system did not recognize them through the Brander link. So I had to go to my account rep and make sure that she did it, so that I know that on October 22nd, when all the links go out, that my guests will get their link. So if you are doing that and the Brander link is not recognizing your guests that you put in the back office, please let me know, and I will tell my account rep. I will blow up her phone and make sure that all of our guests know about this. If we do not use those 2 free tickets, you will have regret. I want you to do everything you can, whether it's someone that you admire in the banking industry, someone that you admire in whatever industry, if they're not even thinking about network marketing and you haven't used those tickets, but you admire them and their work ethic, let them know about our global convention, because there's going to be so many phenomenal speakers that are going to be a part of that. I also want to make sure that if you have some free tickets and you just have exhausted your options and you don't have anyone to use them, please do not have any shame in that at all. I would love for you to post on Team Act that maybe you have some guest tickets that someone else could use and take advantage of. Again, there's going to be, I think Michelle said she had a gal on her team that she had 8 people, 8 guests that she would love to have use guest tickets. And Michelle was like, we're going to find those tickets one way or another. We're going to find them. So first, make sure you reach out to your customers, reach out to maybe old distributors that haven't engaged in a long time. And then next, go to your prospects. Exhaust all options to use those. Sean gave another clue today, stinker. And he said, how did he put it? He said, if you want to get the scoop on convention, you're really going to need to make sure that you're there. He said scoop. And then someone said, does that mean Axio is going to a scoop thing? Which I don't think it would. But anyway, so something's coming, and he had a big old smile on his face. So I cannot wait. And then the other thing is, when convention takes place this weekend, be as present as possible. If you're gathering people together, be the leader and set the tone by paying attention and focusing on what's on the screen. Be the one sitting up front. Be the one taking the notes. Everybody else is going to lead by that example. If you have people over and you're all together and you're just all talking while it's taking place and you're not getting anything from it, there's no seriousness that's taking place from that, right? And the recognition part, please make sure that you're present for that recognition and just lifting people up in that time as well. And people you're with, like helping them envision themselves being a part of the next recognition that we have. That's a huge place too. And then there's also a gap in time on Friday, I believe, where there's like, I think 2.5 hours of gap time, and make plans for that time, whether it's you're going to watch a couple of the breakout sessions, or you're going to maybe Zoom in someone from our team or someone from your upline. If you would love to in your area Zoom in an upline that maybe you don't know well, let me know, because we'll make it happen, because I know that they're open to that. Anyone, just let me know. We are going to have the privilege, Stu Brody is going to be joining us. I don't know for the whole thing, but for some of our time here in Idaho. So don't be jealous. It's going to be so fun. But while he's with us, if we could get him to maybe Zoom into some of you just let me know. Let me know if you would like that to happen, and maybe we can arrange his time with us to be around that time. So anyway, does anybody have questions on the convention tickets before we sit? Yes, a couple people. Jen, go ahead. You're unmuted.
One question I do have, and I just can't, maybe I'm not seeing it somewhere, but I'm assuming everything is Mountain Standard Time.
Yes, the schedule is Mountain Standard Time. You got it. Mike.
Yes. So we're having indoor and outdoor portion of our group party. Does each one of those invitations go to one IP address, one screen? Do I have to use two of mine to do indoor and outdoor?
Two different televisions.
I would think so.
Okay.
Mike.
I'm going with probably so.
Okay.
If you're streaming to two separate devices, so one would be Mike and one would be Sheila.
Okay.
Per se, right? So if it's one, unless there's a way, and I'm not an IT guy, but in your
connect
house, if
them.
you could connect those two devices, the two TVs. Yeah.
Probably not. They're going to
Yeah.
log on independently, probably, and that
Sure.
was my assumption too, that we would have to use two. But that way, we have overflow. We have places outside or inside that
Awesome.
people can watch.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yay.
Save me a seat by the camp chef. I had to.
Aw. Okay, guys. Well, okay, let's wrap this up in prayer, okay? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna stop the recording for everybody that's watching.